Welcome to PushMowerRepair.com. Today we're going to show you how to sharpen the blades on a Victor Power Torque engine. However, this should be the same on most lawnmowers. Here are the tools that you'll need to sharpen the blades on your lawnmower. You need a socket wrench with a 24 and 14mm socket. You'll need a file, possibly an Allen key, and depending on the condition of your blades, you may need to replace them altogether. If so, this is the kit that you would use. So the first thing that we want to do is, because we're going to flip the mower upside down, we need to either empty the fuel that's in the fuel tank, or if you don't mind removing the top cover, you can disconnect the fuel and undo the screws in the top cover, lift everything off, and then you don't have to worry about it. So now that we've turned the mower over, we can see the blades at the bottom. If you look at these blades here, this is an example of blades that aren't in too bad condition. We should be able to sharpen these. Things that you want to look for is that this portion of the blade that's bent upwards, that needs to be present, that needs to be intact. In some of the older ones, they can be completely worn away. You also want to look for the amount of movement in the blade. You want it to be able to swing forwards and backwards in case it hits a rock, but there shouldn't be too much wobbling. If we have a look at some of these other blades that we have lying around, these are examples of ones that are in much worse condition. Here you can see what we're talking about. The portion of the blade that's bent upwards it's been destroyed. Also, if you look how wobbly the blade is on the base plate, that's not going to be good enough. So you can either try and tighten it. If you can't tighten it anymore, then you're going to need to replace the blades completely. In order for us to sharpen the blades on the mower, we need to remove the base plate. Just use a socket wrench on the bolts in the middle to undo it. You'll notice for this mower we've got a big chunk of wood in between the base plate and the mower chassis. That's because sometimes the bolts can rust and be difficult to remove. So if you jam a bit of wood or whatever you have lying around in between, it'll stop the blades from moving and let you undo the bolt. So now we're just going to remove the blades from the base plate. Just get your socket wrench, attach it to the bolt at the back and undo it. If the other side of the bolt is spinning, just get an Allen key and hold it in place. So once you've got the blade removed from the mower, place it in a vise and clamp it down. And just get a file, and when you're filing the blades you only want to go in one direction, so just pick one side. So here you can see we've now filed one side of the blade. Just make sure it's filed nice and evenly the entire way across, and you want to make sure there's a nice edge on that side of the blade. So I'm just going to put this blade on really quickly. If you want something that's more in depth, there's a link to the video where we show you how to do this properly. So now that we've got the blade put back onto the base plate, we're going to put this back onto the mower. You just have to slide it over this bolt. What we want to look out for is, hopefully you can see in the video, these protruding parts from the bolt. That has to line up with the washer. So we'll put the base plate on first. You can see those parts are still sticking out. Get the washer and line it up with those bits, like so, and then it's not going to move around. Once you've done that, just place the nut over the top and then tighten that. So sometimes when you're tightening the bolt on the base plate so everything's fixed to the mower again, whilst you do that the engine will still spin, so it won't allow the bolt to tighten. There are a couple of ways that you can fix that, and we'll show you them now. So if you notice, once you flip the mower over, there's grooves in the top of the flywheel here. We can get a piece of metal, screwdriver, whatever fits, slide it in place so that it catches in one of the grooves, and that should stop the engine from spinning whilst we tighten the bolt on the other side. So when you're tightening, because you have something jammed in the flywheel, just be careful, don't pull too hard because you don't want to cause any damage to the flywheel. Once this bolt becomes more firm with the flywheel jammed, then you can remove whatever you have jamming the flywheel and then tighten the bolt fully